For decades, the middle class was the absolute bedrock of the American dream. I mean, you know the promise, right? It was simple. You work hard, buy a home, raise a family, and eventually you retire safely. But look around today. Millions of people are working harder than they ever have in their entire lives, and yet they're still falling behind. Rent is skyrocketing. Buying a house feels utterly impossible for so many, and that traditional safety net, it's fundamentally breaking down. What we're witnessing right now is profound. The system that built the middle class isn't just taking a pause. It is quietly and systematically being erased. CNBC actually just posed this perfect question that completely captures the economic anxiety we're all feeling right now. They asked, why do Americans feel broke even when they earn more? Well, it's because your salary is actively losing its value against the soaring cost of living. It's like you're running on a treadmill, but someone keeps cranking up the speed. Sure, you might get a 5% raise at work, but if the cost of basic survival, stuff like groceries, energy, healthcare, if that goes up by 10%, you're literally taking a pay cut. And to bridge that gap between stagnant wages and these crazy rising costs, the working class has stepped right into a trap. We are now looking at record-high U.S. household debt, over $17.5 trillion. And here's the kicker. People aren't just taking on debt to buy luxury cars or go on these lavish vacations. No, they're leaning on credit cards just to absorb the crushing reality of everyday expenses. This cycle of debt keeps the traditional worker completely trapped. You can't invest, you can't save, and you're just constantly stressed out about the next billing cycle. Let's dive into Section 1, the Great Economic Shift. A lot of folks think today's financial pressure is just a temporary hangover, just a rough patch. Well, it's not. It is a permanent structural transformation of the economy. When you look at the data from Pew Research and Statista, this terrifying split emerges. Technology and asset prices are accelerating wildly. Basically, if you own stocks, real estate, or digital assets, your net worth is surging. But if your income relies on traditional time-based labor, like clocking in and out, your purchasing power has completely flatlined. We really have to face this stark realization impartially. Ownership is now vastly outperforming employment. It used to be that having a good job was totally enough to build wealth. Today, a good job is often barely enough to just tread water. The old economic mechanics that allowed a single income earner to buy a house and support a whole family, they just don't exist in the same way anymore. The middle class is being squeezed out of existence simply because the value of their main asset, which is their time, is depreciating. Okay, moving to Section 2, why hard work fails today. So we've all inherited this psychological trap from previous generations, right? The deeply held belief that simply working harder guarantees a better life. But applying industrial age advice to a digital age economy is basically a recipe for total burnout. The defining characteristic of modern wealth isn't effort, it's leverage. And leverage is the ability to multiply your effort. In the old days, if you wanted to make twice as much money, you literally had to work twice as many hours. Today, one software program can serve millions of users. One digital creator can build a global audience. One AI system can do the work of 100 people. Exchanging your time for money is a trap because your time is strictly limited. But leverage is infinite. The old economy was all about rewarding corporate loyalty, formal degrees, and trading your time for a steady, reliable paycheck. But the new economy, it honestly doesn't care how many hours you sat at a desk. It exclusively rewards adaptability, digital leverage, and scalability. Think about it. Someone with high leverage who works maybe 4 hours a day will economically obliterate someone with zero leverage who is grinding it out 14 hours a day. So, I really want you to reflect on your own trajectory right now. Are you just adding bullet points to a resume, crossing your fingers and hoping an employer will eventually notice how hard you work? Or are you actively building systems, assets, and leverage that can scale independently of your time? Because, to be blunt, if you're only building a resume, you are highly, highly vulnerable to what's coming next. Which brings us to Section 3, the accelerating AI disruption. If you thought the wealth divide was widening quickly before, well, artificial intelligence is about to pour gasoline right on that fire. And look, we shouldn't view AI as this inherently evil force. It actually helps to zoom out and look at history because we've seen this exact pattern before. The Industrial Revolution displaced manual laborers. The Internet Revolution disrupted traditional retail and media. The smartphone revolution completely changed communication. And now the AI revolution is here. Historically, these massive tech waves ruthlessly displaced traditional workers while massively, and I mean disproportionately, rewarding the early adapters. Check this out. Projections from the IMF and McKinsey showed this staggering dual reality happening right at the same time. On one side, routine administrative jobs, basic coding, copywriting, and analysis, they face total obsolescence. But on the other side, the global economy is projected to see a massive productivity and GDP boost. Just think about what that actually means. The pie is going to get significantly bigger, but drastically fewer people are going to get a slice of it. Data from the World Economic Forum points to a very clear division coming to the future workforce. You're basically going to fall into one of three buckets. First, those who are replaced by AI because their daily tasks were completely routine. Second, those who are AI enhanced. These are the folks using these new tools to do the work of 10 people. And third, the AI creators, actually building the systems. This technology naturally creates a massive chasm between the people who are replaced and the people who are highly leveraged. All right, let's pivot to Section 4, New Rules of Modern Wealth. Now, I know this shift sounds incredibly daunting, but recognizing it, that is exactly where your power lies. The middle class as we knew it might be shrinking, sure, but the upper middle class of highly leveraged individuals is absolutely exploding. To survive, you have to adopt what we call the modern wealth stack. This is the exact blueprint used by Silicon Valley, successful digital creators, and modern entrepreneurs. You have to focus on ownership, owning equity or digital real estate. You need distribution and attention, the actual ability to reach people. You need digital leverage, using software or media to multiply your output. And above all else, adaptability. Your main goal shouldn't just be seeking a slightly higher salary anymore. Your goal absolutely must be building digital assets. So, how do we do this? Here are some actionable, future-proofing steps inspired by top tech accelerators like Y Combinator. First off, you have to mentally unlearn the whole time for money trap. Just let it go. Second, stop running from AI. Master these tools so you become the person operating the machine, not the one being replaced by it. Third, start building an audience, or maybe a piece of software. Create something that literally works while you sleep. And finally, scale that leverage. We are facing a pretty harsh reality here. The next decade may create the biggest wealth gap in modern history. And it won't be a gap between countries, it's going to be between the people who adopt and the people who don't. The middle class isn't just vanishing into thin air. It is being violently divided into two camps. Those who desperately cling to the old rules and those who courageously adopt the new ones. Yes, the middle class is being systematically compressed. But listen, the fact that you're here, engaging with this information right now, means you are already way ahead of the curve. You can see the chessboard. Understanding this massive economic shift is the absolutely vital first step to transforming your future from a state of immense anxiety into a state of immense opportunity. So I want to leave you with one final urgent question to think about. Will you adapt to the future economy, or will you let your financial security be quietly erased by it? Look, the choice is entirely yours, but the clock is ticking. If you found this explainer valuable and you want to truly master these new rules of wealth, make sure you subscribe to Paths to Success for more deep insights. Keep learning, start building that leverage today, and I'll see you in the next one.